live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, fabulous. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News Feed, where I read to you headlines or share with you things that are really kind of in my headlines, and just to give you a survey of what going on in the world. A survey. It's not in depth. It's not news. It's just my notes on the news. And I might have some commentary for you. You know, I probably will. It might be based on having read the article. It might be based on being an expert on the subject matter. Or it might just be based on my vibrations. But again, it's not news. It's just my notes on the news. I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Thank you so much for clicking on the video or joining live, liking, commenting, subscribing. We're working on 1,000 subscribers. So if you are one of my first 1,000 subscribers, I thank you. I appreciate you. And if you are not, I know you subscribing right now. So I'm just thanking you in advance. Yay! All right, let us proceed. So yesterday I was like, oh, I want to talk about the rap game. And then I totally forgot until I came out and I'm like, oh, that's right, the rap game. So if you're not familiar with it, hey, good morning. The rap game is a television show. It's like a competition show, and it comes on, I think, Lifetime. There's a rapper. He had dated Janet Jackson. I can't remember his name. I'm not like good with, but he's like Jermaine Dupri is his name. So he's the one who brings these children together, and then they live in the house for like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. I don't know how long, and they have like different little competitions. And then every week there's like a hit list, and you know, if you're number one on the hit list, that means you're doing good, and if not, you're doing bad. And this is like 3 or 4 seasons, or I don't know how many seasons it is, but I think that I've watched every single season. I really, and this has been my favorite season to date. So it just ended. It seems like the last 2 seasons in particular, there's like 2 little boys each season. I'm like, does he always have a little boy on the show that seemed like him, like a little dark-skinned, glasses wearing, crazy little boy? But that's who won this year. A little boy named, what is that child's name? Dang, I can't think of the baby's name, but it'll come to me. But I really, really enjoyed this season. There were 2 mothers who were managers of their children. I thought that they did a really, really good job. One mother who was managing an artist named Rapunzel. I think she does a really good job. She's really high energy. She's really like enthusiastic, like sincerely and genuinely. And I like to see her and her daughter interact. I like to see her and her daughter interacting. Dang, what is the child's name who won the rap game? I don't know why I'm blanking out on him. What is his name? His mother is, I think, very polished, and like, you know, she seems to be a great manager, but she seems to be a great mom. She's like a great momager. Like I saw where, you know, there was like one point when she was like, you know, what's going on? You've been eating sugar. Put that sugar away. You know, it's like she be on that little boy. That little boy is like, oh, I can't believe I didn't win. And he like 13. He's like a baby. And she's like, you learn your lesson. You get it together. She like, I don't know how to explain it, but she manages that little boy. And you know, it's like tough love, but you know, and the children are so talented. That's what I enjoy. The children seem so talented and passionate about what they're doing. I'm not like a connoisseur of rap or anything, so they just seem talented to me. They seem passionate. This year I liked all of the little children. There wasn't I don't think there was like hardly any drama in the house. I really enjoyed that. Right before the season finale, they showed them all eating together. I like the idea of them being like a group of people who have come together to have this experience, and whoever wins, they can still have a relationship with each other. So what is the baby's? Oh, Street Bud. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name, but this little boy, Street Bud, is just Mr. Charisma. So I just really enjoyed the show. If you've never watched it, you know, it'll be coming on again, I'm sure, because it seems to do well. But it's just really nice and sweet to see the little children doing their thing and finding the thing that they passionate about, and developing and evolving, and they get training on how to interact with the press, and they get training on this and training on that, and then Jermaine Dupri is giving him their perspective. And this season the kids were like, oh yeah, I could see that. Like, they seemed really receptive to the grooming and like really mature, even though they I think the oldest one was like 16. There was one little mixed race boy from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he was so kind of, I don't know if corny is really the word. Good morning, Rowdy Chica 59. I don't know if corny is really the word, but it was like you could just see him really evolve and develop over the show, and like get a little more confidence, and it was just really, I just really enjoyed it. Now, last year they had a young white woman on the show, and she was like I'm glad she didn't add value. Like, the drama that she brought and the mess and the confusion, it was not fun. I didn't like it. So I'm really glad that they didn't think, oh, well, every season we'll have. I'm glad that they, have not put that as part of the recipe. But anyway, that was the rap game. So Street Bud with his locks, and he had them colored, and he's like just Mr. Swag. Like, he just seems to have so much opinion. I mean, it's always cute when you see little kids or younger people who are just really like into what they're into. And you just like, oh my God, but you're 13. That's so cute. But it's not cute to them. They serious. This ain't a game, as Jermaine Dupri says. This is the MF and rap game. And that's how they act. Like, although I'm like, it's still a game. You just added an adjective to describe what type of game it is, sir. It's still a game. But yeah, they were cute. I like that show. Okay, let me see if I can find. Okay, so let's proceed with the other stuff that's on the news feed. Russian activists in jail for giant duck protests. So there was like this probably like about this size, a yellow ducky, like looked like a rubber ducky in a window, and that was the shot we saw. And it might have been a sign next to it. I can't remember, but I guess that whoever put that rubber ducky there has gone to jail. Now, I think the thing about when you're in leadership, it's kind of a vulnerable position. People criticize you. Whenever you're visible, people criticize you. They have commentary. Some people don't like you. Some people hate you. People feel like perfectly entitled to say or do whatever they want. And then I feel like when you're in public office, you're really, like that's just part of the game. And I think that, you have, I can't say you have to, but I just think that if somebody put a rubber ducky up, we sending people to jail now for being funny and clever and cute. To jail? Like, was the rubber ducky going to explode? Was the rubber ducky going to kill somebody? I mean, why are we sending people to jail over rubber duckies? Mr. Dictator or Mrs. Dictator, was it in Russia? Russian activist, Mr. Putin. Shh, don't tell him I said anything. I don't want him coming after me. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just ridiculous. And it's like you punching down. Like, he out here putting rubber duckies up and you getting mad and in your feelings and putting people in jail. You look really, really stupid and just really stupid. Okay, Greenleaf. Patti LaBelle set to recur in season 2 of OWN series. I like Greenleaf. I didn't realize it was only season 1. Maybe they had this thing. Now, some of these TV shows do these mid-season finales and then mid-season premieres, and I guess that's what they did with Greenleaf, because I thought we had already seen season 2. But Patti LaBelle, that'll be, I don't know if I like her or not, but I like Greenleaf. I think do you watch Greenleaf? Do you like Greenleaf? I like Greenleaf. And I'm not even like a churchy kind of person. I've spent, I guess like most Black people, sometime in the church, but I'm not churchy like that. But I like the show. Monica Lewinsky says the hashtag #MeToo movement has caused her to question the issue of consent in her affair with Clinton, which kind of surprised me. Not that she would question the issue of consent in her affair with Clinton, but that she would just be questioning it now. Because I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I was relatively young when it happened. And I'm like, that girl is an intern. Why is everybody attacking the intern? And she is the intern to the President of the United States. So, oh, it's a curtain on the backyard. So you figure anybody, just a random person on the street who's dealing with the President of the United States, for the most part, there's going to be a certain like reverence, awe, like, you're like in a vulnerable position. And then you figure the social skills that someone has who, for the most part, many people who are politicians are like advanced in their social skills. So I feel like you're going to put like a girl up against a grown budded man who's a politician and think that she has a chance. If he wants something, she would have to be like a really extraordinary young woman. And then on top of that, this is someone who's applied to be an intern in the White House. That means she had aspirations to do something in politics. So the idea that she got a job in the White House and that she's the intern of the president, I mean, that's just like awe-inspiring I would imagine. And like, how could she even have the skill set or the experience to know how to negotiate and say no, or to stand up for herself in that situation? Or, to be like, yeah, I did exactly what the F I wanted to do. I mean, but I just feel like that girl was a baby. Like, I didn't think she consented, and I never understood, and I never appreciated all the years when every time that child's name come up, people be like, ha, 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 Monica Lewinsky, and they just be so hard on her. And I'm like, but I'm surprised that she's saying she just realized now that there was an issue with consent. Baby girl. She probably my age. I'm calling her baby girl. Okay, a passenger's phone charger exploded on a flight and started a fire in an overhead bin. I don't know what's up with these electronics, because weren't phones exploding and stuff and starting fires? Now, I don't know how the charger, was it plugged in? You think it's in the overhead bin, it's not plugged in. How the charger setting fires? FedEx, and I don't make copies often. I used to a lot more, but I don't in the way that I used to. But I used to use Kinko's, which became FedEx Kinko's. FedEx stays loyal to the NRA as gun control pressure builds and boycotts loom. So I guess the next time I need to make copies, I'm going to be looking for a public library. Because, see, I'm the kind of person who, like, I don't know if y'all remember, like, back in the day when there was, like, official apartheid in South Africa, and a lot of people were like boycotting shale gas because shale gas would not divest, they wouldn't leave South Africa, and so a lot of people boycotted shale. My mother had a shale card at the time, and I remember she broke it in half and she didn't go to shale anymore. And like, even now it's like hardwired to me. I have to be desperate. Like, I think in all of my adult life of driving, I have been to a shale gas station maybe once, maybe twice. I think, the one time I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go to a Shell. There was something else across the street that I went to. And I'm not really a no-name gas getting kind of person, but I probably go to a no-name gas station before I go to a Shell. And then even like people weren't talking about boycotting down south, but when they had that big oil spill down south on the Gulf Coast, and BP was involved, I stopped going to BP. And I knew there were like chains, like Danny Dan's, what was his name? Like Drunk Dan's or something. There was like a chain of gas stations, and they were all BPs. And then, when the Gulf thing happened, like within like 2 months or whatever, that chain had become like Danny Dan's, some other big chain. And I'm like, oh, it's the same thing. But just on GP, I don't do Shell and I don't do BP. And I guess now I don't do FedEx. I mean, I ain't no big, they don't care if I boycott. That's like we boycott Netflix or not. I'm not a client, so it's hard for my boycott to mean anything. Travis Scott gave Kylie Jenner a rare $1.4 million Ferrari as a push present. Now, I never started hearing about push presents until maybe like 5 or 10 years ago. That's a gift that a man gives to a woman when she has a baby. And often it's jewelry. I've never heard of a car. But what was interesting to me about this story is that Travis Scott is a young black man. And so he has great wealth. He has great enough wealth that he's able to give someone who he's not married to a $1.4 million Ferrari. As it is the mother of his child. But this woman that he's giving money to is not a black woman. So it's just interesting to me. I guess I think of like redistribution of wealth. And so I think of like, there are a lot of tools and systems in place to like redistribute the wealth from, poor people to rich people, or from black people back to white people. And in my head, I'm like, I think that like white women or whatever racially ambiguous women are a way to suck wealth out, suck wealth. Dang, I don't want to say suck because I'm getting an image in my head and I don't want to have that image, but a way to extract wealth from the black community and redistribute it back to the to the 1%, to the white community. So like, when you have these, all these athletes and all of these entertainers who, I would think that if you married to the people and you having children with the people, then your wealth is going to go to your wife and your children if something happens to you. So I was just thinking about that. Good morning, Rowdy Chica. I got a bad connection. Oh, it's gone. I watched one video yesterday where I had the bad connection and I was like just talking and like acting a fool trying to wait for the bad connection to go out. And then, but on the video, it just looks like I'm just acting a fool. Y'all know I'm silly. Okay. NYU BHM Dinner. Black History Month, BHM. Oh, Black History Month dinner sparks discussion over faux outrage after it was initially believed that 2 black cooks were fired. So if you didn't, I reported on the story before where for Black History Month, the people at NYU decided they were going to do like a soul food inspired dinner, and they had ribs and macaroni and cheese and collard greens. And I don't think people were necessarily offended by that. What people were offended by is they had Koolaide, and they had infused water with watermelon in it. And so the people at when I read the article, the people at the place were like, oh, we didn't have Kool-Aid. That was just our regular fruit punch. But somebody who worked in the kitchen was like, no, it was Kool-Aid. They went out and got Kool-Aid. And then people are like, and watermelon is not even in season. And even when watermelon is in season, and we've seen you do fruit infusions, like I have been to places where they've done a watermelon infusion, and it was like a big white mainstream hotel. But watermelon is really not a good fruit for infusion, just so you know, because watermelon starts to like break down, and you get like it's not a good. Don't do that. But they even when you do infusions in NYU cafeteria, even when watermelon is in season, you've never done a watermelon fruit infusion before, and so you went out of your way to get an out of season watermelon to do something that you don't normally do. We call bull on that. That's some bull. And then the word went out apparently that the people who did it were black. But that's not true. The people who did it were not black. And the corporation, which I'm familiar with, I've heard of this corporation before, Amarak, it's like a big food service corporation. The corporation is like, we have a policy in our corporation where menus go, it's a corporation. There's a bureaucracy. Menus go through a process. You can't just be on the ground level changing up menus. We have a whole process in our corporation for changing menus. So you're fired because you changed the menu without going through the process. But in between, before it was found out that the people were not black, there was a whole bunch of stuff apparently on social media that I missed, or some stuff where people were like, see, black people are just too sensitive. Y'all got 2 black people fired. You see what you did with your oversensitivity, and you'd have been running up to Harlem to get that food anyway. Now, I'm black and I lived in New York. And when I first moved, I did run up to Harlem to go to Sylvia's because I had heard about Sylvia's. Sylvia's was not a good experience for me. I'm like, oh, this is a tourist spot. They don't care about the quality of food. They don't care about the service because they figure people come and go. They don't need a repeat clientele. But I don't be running up to no soul food restaurants now. Every black person does not be running out to get ribs and watermelon. I like watermelon. I don't run out, but my husband used to run out to get watermelon. He used to run down to Jefferson County in Mississippi. That's where they're supposed to have good watermelons. He would go, but I'm just saying that I don't drink Kool-Aid. And if y'all have anyway, So I feel like it was like some misinformation in the mix, like saying that the people were black. Who put that rumor out there? Why? What was the point of that? To try to like, and then the NYU kids or students or whatever, because you know it's a university. So it's not just 18-year-olds. You have people who are graduate students who have like some context and some history and some perspective. But they, you know, they handling their business. But anyway, that was the update on that story because we heard about it before. And they're sticking to, you know, that's some bull. And if you want to know food services, what Black students would like for Black History Month, then you come and talk to us. You know, we don't need you to make no decisions on our behalf. BlackBerry thinks that shipping 85,850,000 Key One phones is a success. Now, I don't have the Key One. I have the Classic. And before I had the Classic, I had the Bold. I'm a BlackBerry girl. And I don't want the Key One. I want the neck. There's 2 or 3 phones that are coming out. And I figure this one is going to be winding down soon. And I got my eyes out there because I want to get the next one. Now, this one operates on the BlackBerry operating system. So even if it doesn't break down and die, what's going to happen is in 2019, they're phasing out the BlackBerry operating system. So it's going to start having more and more glitches and having more and more issues, I know. But the new generation of BlackBerries is Android operated. Now, why am I so loyal to BlackBerry? I don't know. It's because it was the first phone that I ever got that I really liked. And plus, it's called Blackberry, like blackberry, like the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, or like berries, like I love blueberries and blackberry. I don't know. And it has a physical keyboard and it has a touch screen. And I want BlackBerry to win. But they like, Engadget is like 850,000 phones is nothing, BlackBerry. That is not a success. You out here failing. But see, what they don't understand or what they don't want to acknowledge is that about 5 years ago, all y'all were like, BlackBerry is out of the game. But BlackBerry is still in the game. I don't know why I'm rooting for a corporation, but I want to be able to buy a BlackBerry. And I actually like that it's like the underdog, I guess. There's a new avocado-only restaurant in NYC that serves avocado fries. Now, this was interesting, not because I don't eat avocados, because it's green and squishy, and I never tried it before, and I'm a weird eater. But this was interesting because I feel like, isn't that so New York? They have an avocado-only restaurant. You can't really do that kind of foolishness any place other than New York. Like, that restaurant is probably going to thrive and survive and do well. But you can't do, like, real niche market stuff any place. I mean, New York is one of those places where you can do that kind of stuff. YouTube updates live streaming features. So, you know, when people make comments on the screen during a live stream, and then when you play it back, you can't see the comments. They said they say it's up. I don't know if it's been updated already. I don't know. We'll see, Miss Rowdy Chica 59, if when we play this back, we can see your comment going. But if it's not there, it's coming. And I'm kind of excited for that because I feel like the quality of the experience is lost in the playback. And, you know, it's kind of like, it looks weird when you're like, oh yeah, I agree 100%. And then when you're watching the video, you're like, well, what did they agree 100% with? Because you can't see what everybody who was live could see. So anyway, and there's some other stuff they're updating. And I'm hoping that that's what's going on with my connection. I don't know, because I didn't have any problems. And then this last, 4 or 5 days, I've been having connection problems. Why? Why technology? Why? Israeli satellite images show 2 Russian Su-57s at its airbase in Syria. So, the Syria war, today I saw an article that connects it with Turkey. Now, I don't really know very much about Turkey, except that when the leader of Turkey came to this country, there were some people who were protesting. This has been since Zero was in office. There were some people who were protesting. And the leader of Erdogan, the leader of Turkey, his security people went and they beat down the people who were protesting. But then they were saying that the people who were protesting beat them down and they were victims. There was some like weird thing where they beat up the people, but then they wanted the people to like compensate them. You know, like how the cops will be like, I beat you down with and so now I got a raw. And so you got to pay me for my medical injury or whatever. Well, you know how people do foolish. It was like some kind of, and that's where I first heard about started noticing anything about Turkey. So this whole Syria war that we've been talking about, and I still haven't Googled, don't understand really what's going on. But somehow Russia is connected and Turkey is connected. So I see there's something else on my news feed. But this whole thing where Israel, they just took a picture and they like, you see them planes right there, they Russian planes. And Russia's like, yeah, we put our planes there, and we put our planes there because we want to dissuade some foolishness from the other people. We want them to know we showing. It's like if you walk around like this, like you see this muscle here, don't mess with me. You know, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to show. I gotta do it on this arm too. Ugh. Okay. I strained myself over there, so I got to strain myself here too. So Russia is connected with this whole thing going on in Syria. Turkey is connected with the Syria. I don't know. And you know, Russia I think Russia is making a play to, like, you know, and maybe they have taken over the world. You know what I mean? Russia and China, they say, you know, I guess it's a gap in leadership, colonial. I don't know what kind of leadership it is, but, you know, I guess the United States was a certain, like a world leader, the leader of the colonialists, the leader of the invaders. And now there's a gap because, and so there are other colonialists, invaders who are trying to fill in that gap. So Russia and China, they say they, you know. Slovakia shocked by killing of journalist and partner. And they say that the journalist was doing some investigative journalism, and that's what caused them to get killed. Or, you know, I can't say that's what caused them to get killed. What caused them to get killed is a killer. But the killer wanted to kill them because they don't want certain things exposed, or, you know. Here recently, you start to think of journalism as like more dangerous a career. You know, I don't know. I guess Superman was a journalist, but you know, it's sort of like, it's dangerous out here. You start asking questions, the wrong questions to the right people, or the right questions to the wrong people, and they don't want, you know, the power of information is something that you would kill someone who's seeking and distributing and sharing information. Like, it's just information, but information is powerful. Michelle Obama's memoir to be translated into 24 languages upon release in November. So we got word yesterday that it was released going to be released. And so when I saw the headline, I'm like, oh, what if Michelle Obama published her book with a black publishing company? She didn't. It was with Penguin or Random House or something like that. And that kind of makes me sad, you know. And the article said that Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, they both have worked with this publishing company before. But there are black publishing companies out there. So anyway, that makes me sad. I wish that, because, you know, they say that First Lady's books tend to be good sellers. You know, they tend to do very well. And we think that Michelle Obama's book is going to do quite well. And so wouldn't it have been a boost and a gift and a way to recirculate and, you know, bolster up a black business, to give that business to a black business? I mean, Taiwan toilet paper panic. Why is the island caught short? And it just made me think about, you can't find toilet paper. And it just made me think about all the little things that we take for granted. And then I think especially like as black folks, you know, I think it was like probably black Muslims who I first heard say, you know, if the white man cut you off, you can't even wipe your butt. And it was kind of like, dang, that's intense. But, you know, even more important than wiping your butt is being able to eat, is probably being able to eat and drink. I think that's probably the most important thing. And then you got to clothe yourself. I mean, you know, it's a lot of opportunities out here for us. Turkey's Erdogan in row over girl martyr comment on TV. So, row, again, this is coming off of the British thing. So like in a fight. So he giving a speech. This is Turkey's President Erdogan, we were talking about him earlier, and he see a little girl in the audience who's dressed up like, a military person. Now, this little girl couldn't have been more than 8. She might have been 6, 7. She's a little girl, and she's dressed up like a military person. So he bring her up on stage. He like, yes, you gonna fight for the country, or you gonna fight for me, or whatever he said. And if you die, we gonna give you a wonderful burial, or whatever he said. Something, to that effect. Like, it's good, you need to fight and die for me and for what we up here doing. And the image of the little girl, she looked like she crying, and he like, hey, yeah, little girl. And she's like, oh. I don't know who put the child in the military gear. I don't know if it was her idea, and then she was like just stressed out by the whole experience, the audience, his vibration, or what, or if her parents just dressed her up like that. But people are like, you can't be telling little children that they're going to die and that it's going to be good when they die. I mean, as we all come to the realization that, death is a part of life, and, sometimes little children come to that realization, but we don't be out here just trying to like spoil the innocence of the children, do we? I guess he does. Erdogan. So that was the they're like, that's not like a good look. Dictator man. Ancient Egyptian necropolis. A necropolis, is that like dead, like a place where dead people are? Ancient Egyptian necropolis contains message from afterlife. So I think it is a place, like they found another site where there are a lot of tombs or people. It's like a burial ground. I don't know if they're pyramids or what the story is, but they found another ancient Egyptian necropolis. I don't know if I like that term, but fugitive Chihuahua governor. I have a little Chihuahua mixed dog, but Chihuahua is a state in Mexico, apparently. Cesar Duarte's bison are seized. So I was like, his bison. So this is a man who had like 400 hectares or whatever. He had a lot of land, and he liked animals. Like he had like bison and other exotic animals or whatever. And he has left the country. They say that they believe that he is in the United States. He's been spotted in Florida, Texas, and somewhere else. I don't remember. And he's wanted for corruption or whatever. And they have seized the property that he say he got. They say he got illegally. And they say that some of the animals on his property, they were like sent for, we want to send aid to the poor people in Mexico, so we're going to send over, 300 bison. And he like, oh, I like these bison. I'm just going to keep 200 of them, or, 100 of them, or 250 or 300 of them, or whatever. So some of the stuff that was sent over, he just kept for himself, to help his people. He just helped himself to it. Because some people, that's how they think about it. They like, well, if it helped me, then it helped my people. I don't really care about the people. It's just, if it helped me, that's all they care about. So I don't know what the story is. Rescued Middle East lions moved into new South Africa home. This is back to the Syria war. These are lions that were in a zoo in Syria. Because of the warfare going on and everything, they've been rescued and they've been given a new home in South Africa. My mother had a lion cub put a paw on her head. We have a picture of it someplace too. When she was at a South African like safari type hookup. And they say that the person who was like on their tour is like, now y'all stay in here. And he said he had a customer the other week who, he said, no, don't get out, stay behind these gates. Don't get out there. And she wanted to take a selfie. And he said that she was a white lady and he a black man. And I guess she didn't believe him, or she just wanted to do what she wanted to do. And so she got out to take a selfie with, I think it was a lion or maybe a tiger. I don't know. But it was a wild animal. And I don't know how I thought the story was going to end, but she got killed. I was like, oh my God. But, people be out here taking selfies on railroad tracks. Like this selfie game thing is intense. Now that ain't no game. That's the death game, but this selfie thing is intense. That's totally unrelated, but you follow the dots. Saudi Arabia allows women to join the military, not in a fighting capacity, but in other capacities. Now, Saudi Arabia, is this country who just recently allowed women to drive and has been clamping down on corruption, supposedly, and all of this other stuff? What I don't understand is that I feel like some women, I don't know why, like some women, this whole thing of like I'm not the woman who, don't give me a gun and put me on the front line. I don't really think that that's my strength. But some people, that's like their strength. That's like their passion. That's like their vibration. Some women are like that. Just like some men, don't give them a gun and put them on the front line because that's not really their stilo. You know what I mean? So I don't really understand. Like, I feel like if somebody is into being in the military or being on the front line, you know, like Dora Milaje, like the Dora Milaje. Some people want to, that's what they think, you know? Like my mother is an Aries. They take martial arts class. They like to fight. I had a friend who used to, she was studying Kempo, and she would like fight and spar with her boyfriend, and she would get bruises on her and stuff. And I didn't understand it. I mean, I even took, when I took a class, because I feel like I need to have like a level of self-defense and, you know, a consciousness and like get trained. Because, you know, your normal response, for example, if someone grabs you, is to fight against them. Instead of like knocking them, you know, using what's free, you want to fight what's constrained. You know, it's like you have to train to be able to like, you know, survive out here on these streets. But I wanted to, you know, like get training. And I remember the first class I took, you know, at the end of the class, it was 5 of us or something. And the instructor had us line up, and, you know, I was like number 5 or 4 in the line. So he going down the line and, you know, make your stomach. I don't know if he even said, and he punched the person. And I saw him punch person number 1. And I'm like, Then he came to person number 2. He punched person number 2. I'm like, Then he came to person number 3. He punched person number 3. I'm like, He came to me, he punched me. I'm like, why he punched me? But I watched it happen, but it was just like I was so offended that this man punched me. Like, and it was not a hard punch. I was not like out of breath or, you know, falling on the floor or anything. It was like a little tap, but it was just like the idea. I was just like very like offended and upset, you know, on an emotional level. Like I understood what was going on. I saw it was coming, but when it actually happened, it was not out, you know, I was not. But see, somebody else, my friend, she was sparring and getting bruises, and you know, that's her that's exciting to her. She likes that. You know, I don't, you know, but yeah. Georgian boy runs away to the zoo, finds it's closed. Now, this is Georgia, the country, not Georgia, the state in the United States. And it seemed like he was like a little boy, like 6 or 7. You know how like I'm running away, and he ran away. But it seemed like it was not like to the zoo, like down the street, 6 blocks. But it seemed like it was like a train ride he had to take and all of this other stuff. And the people saw the boy there. They're like, who is somebody with this little boy? And so they gave him like an award or whatever for like his love of animals. But, you know, I'm not really a fan of zoos because I feel like the animals are locked up. And I don't like it. You know, I don't want to be locked up, and I'm sure the animals don't want to be locked up. And then they say the animals get depressed and more violent when they're locked up. You know, like it's not normal. Give us all, everybody want to be free, even a dog. You know what I mean? Even you know, yeah, I don't like zoos. China censorship after Xi Jinping presidency extension proposal. So we were talking about this yesterday. Apparently they have 5-year terms. He just got elected to his second 5-year term. And so that's why they're right immediately trying to change the legislation so that he can get set up for his next 5-year term if that's what he wants to do. And so now the Chinese censorship people have been censoring terms like re-election or third term, or, you know, so it's sort of like when you know, certain things, those messages can't get through. So they don't want you all, they don't want the people in China to be talking about what's going on. That's what how it appears to me. Now, maybe I'm just buying into some propaganda, but that's what it appears. Sean Combs' Revolt names Robin Latiker Johnson head of content. Now, this Revolt thing is supposed to be Sean Combs' channel. And at first I heard he owned the station. Then I heard he didn't own the station. It's not quite like own. It's sort of like I own like I'm a Mary Kay consultant and I own my business, but I don't own Mary Kay. Like he just has like purchased like the rights to, I don't really quite understand what it is. But I've kind of, I tried to research it, but I couldn't get very far. But I'm kind of curious, like, because it's like, oh, there's 2 or 3 now black-owned stations, but are they black-owned stations? Like, what do they mean? What is our ownership? What is their ownership stake in it? Like, is it just like your name on it and you get like 2%? Or is it like you get 70%? Like, how does it work? I don't understand. But anyway, we see, Revolt. I don't even think I've ever seen anything on Revolt TV. I think I've seen the channel and I knew about it. No, it seemed like here recently, maybe in the last few months, I might have watched a movie, or maybe it was an awards show with my mother, because I'm not an award show person, but I've watched more award shows here recently. Nigeria's new Chibok, what we know. So this is talking about the girls who were abducted, 101. They just kind of talked about what happened and why. And there was something where there was a security checkpoint that had been taken down. And I guess once that security checkpoint was taken down, it allowed, it made it easier for the people to access the children, the girls. U.S. court to hear reparations lawsuit against German government over colonial era genocide in present day Namibia. Now, the country is called Namibia now, but it wasn't called Namibia then, I don't think. And I was just confused by this whole, it's coming off of Atlanta Black Star, but I was sort of confused and intrigued because a U.S. court is hearing a reparations lawsuit against the German government over colonial era genocide in present day Namibia. Like, it's just like, I don't understand. Like, does the UN try these things? What does the U.S. court have to do? I was just like, yeah. But, concentration camps, death camps, starving people to death, and the time period of this happening was like 1885 to 1950 or something like that, like 1915. But I mean, it was like after 1600, after 1700, after the mass murder of more than 100,000 people. On behalf of the Ova Herero and Nama peoples of Namibia, 1885 to 1909. It was then Southwest Africa. Oh, something about the UN General Assembly. Oh, the declaration was adopted. The UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People to Self-Determination for All Indigenous Peoples. The declaration was adopted by the UN General Assembly in 2007. With a majority of 144 states favoring the treaty and 4 countries, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the United States, opposing it. Australia, we know they have big issues with their native people. New Zealand, I think they do. I don't know much about them. And I don't know much about, Canada has big issues with their native people too. And then, of course, the United States. So, Yapo, if you watch this later, if you're watching now, when I saw that article, I thought about you. Atlanta Black Star. Migrate or die. Venezuelans are flooding into Colombia despite a crackdown by the government and backlash from the public. So I don't know what's going on in Venezuela. And they say that the article framed it like a socialist government is in control, and so everything is just jacked up, and the people have to leave the country. I just mentioned an article for you to look up if you hadn't already heard about it. Iapo. U.S. court to hear reparations lawsuit against German government over colonial era genocide in present day Namibia. It's coming off of Atlanta Black Star. So they say that the Venezuelans are leaving the country, and it's like tables, I guess, from the Venezuelan government collecting, their money, the worthless Venezuelan money, as they leave the country and go to Colombia. Now, the way that the article, from what I could gather, they made it seem like, well, it's a socialist country, and so of course everything is jacked up now that this socialist person has been elected. That's why all the people have to leave. Now that sounds like some propaganda to me. I don't, but I don't know enough. I don't have enough context, history to understand, but I don't buy that story. You couldn't sell me that story. Something would have to happen for me to buy that story. China warns parents after boy filmed peeing in lift like an elevator. And I thought, oh, well, the baby had to go to the bathroom, and so he probably just peed in the corner. But no, he was peeing like, he was peeing up and down like the buttons where you and I get on and we have to press the buttons. He was peeing on those. And then apparently he caused the elevator to short out. And then he started freaking out. And they say some people are like bear children, which I think is what the Chinese people call like unruly, out of control children. They need to be, dealt with. And then other people are like, oh, it's just kids being kids. And then other people are like, oh no, his parents need to pay for that elevator. Now, I don't know if his parents can afford to pay for the elevator, but it does seem like, and then sometimes little kids, their judgment and their ability to like think about consequences of stuff they're not fully developed yet. And so he probably wasn't, but I'm like, ew, he's peeing on the thing where you touch. That's why I don't use hand sanitizer, but we have to be really good about washing our hands, especially in public, because you don't know what happened. Like when they had that little girl, or that singer, she's not a little girl, she's short. My mom would have made me pick my own switch. Right. Pick my own switch. Yeah. I don't know what kind of foolishness, but Ariana Grande, remember when she was like, they caught her on record licking the food. So here I come in and I'm like, oh, I'll have a donut. And somebody has licked it. Like that is really, 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 really disgusting and nasty. Not as disgusting and nasty as that little white girl who was on the campus harassing the black girl, her roommate. That was really, really disgusting. But all of that is yuck. But China warned the parents that you gotta train your children. And they showed that film and they like, y'all get on your children now and teach them. And I kind of agree. I'm not like, but I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that you see. And then you like have a talk with your child. Like, well, what did you think about that? Well, to process how they're analyzing it and help them to evolve into like a human being. Because that's like some animal. I mean, and that's not even like animal stuff. Because like my dog, now she does pee on stuff because she's marking and communicating with other dogs. But I mean, she's not trying to be disrespectful. She's just being a dog. I mean, that's rude. Disgusting. Ava DuVernay cautions Hollywood's diversity gains still need improvement. That's why my ex-girlfriend would not let me take her to buffets. Yeah, buffets. So the people are like, oh, just like when President Obama was elected, oh, racism is over. So now I guess, a Black Panther is out. So they're like, oh, racism is over in the film industry. And Ava DuVernay is like, hold on 1 second. We don't even need to talk about that. Badeshi, only 3 people speak this extinct language. And I think that it's like somewhere in Asia, in India, something like that. Where was Badeshi? But anyway, only 3 people speak the language that they know of. Catalonia, Spain. Protests greet King Felipe at MWC. So we were talking about Catalonia before. Remember, as we've gone through this thing, we realized, oh, Spain has a king. Their king is sort of like England's queen. It's like a ceremonial type thing. But people wanted the king to be like, well, Catalonia, y'all are an independent province. And so anyway, the king is visiting the province, is still stuff, or the area. And they had this thing where they were like, it's like, okay, like the college that I went to, Barnard. We were part of Columbia University, but we were not like other colleges in the university because we had our own president, our own board of director, our own board of directors, our own budget. We were independent within the context of the university, and the other colleges were just part of the university. And so that's how Catalonia, there's two regions, I think in Spain, Catalonia being one of them, from what I can remember, that are like independent, but also part of, but they, as independent as they thought they were, when they tried to get their true independence, they found out that they wasn't independent. Now, I don't really know what's going on, but that's one interpretation of it. Like, Spain said, you can be free, and they're wealthy, and they said, we want to be free. And Spain's like, oh, no, you can't be free. Argentina sub ARA San Juan relatives to crowd fund new search. So the submarine was called the San Juan. Maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, remember, it just disappeared without a trace. The first time I saw the story, it was like it just disappeared. The next time I saw the story, it was like someone in the United States who monitors sounds had heard an explosion and had pinpointed it to this area. And someone else in a similar capacity had heard a sound right around the time in the space where the submarine disappeared. And so I thought, well, it was an explosion. They gonna find it. They never found it. And it's been months and months and months. And so the last thing I heard, I think, is that Russia was coming in to help them find it. And I guess I'm kind of suspicious of Russia. I'm suspicious of everybody. But I was like, oh. Because I was like, just like, remember when that plane disappeared? And every time this subject comes up, I'm like, the Malaysia airplane that just like disappeared. And they don't, like, an airplane is a big thing. How is it, we don't have no wreckage? Where the plane go? Where's the evidence of the plane? Huh? Where's the evidence of the submarine? Where did it go? It's just disappeared. So they had brought in the Russians to help them look for it or whatever. And you had almost, oh, thank you. I appreciate the thumbs up. They had brought in the Russians or whatever. And so now the people who, it was like, I think 43, 33. It was one woman and like 40 men or something like that. Now their family and friends are trying to raise money. Like, could y'all donate $5, $20, $1, $70 to help us find our people? Where's the submarine at? Where's the San Juan at? Is that normal? Did the submarines just be disappearing? I don't, like, planes don't just disappear. Yeah, I don't have that kind of trust. Black woman finds stuffed monkey, like a stuffed bear, like that kind of stuffed monkey, I think, with noose and racist note on her desk. So you go into work and you're like, okay, let me get, what is it? A stuffed with a noose and a racist note on my desk. I'm at work. 30 cities around the world where expats earn more than $100,000 a year. Y'all know I have just fantasies of like moving. 27 cities around the world. I think my cabin fever is coming up. 27 cities around the world where expats say there are more than enough jobs to go around. The blind MMA, mixed martial arts champion, helping others defend themselves. Defense is important, I guess. The American who fled gay conversion in Africa. Now he was really brown, but he looked different. He was Somalian. I think he was from Somalia. And he was like visiting his people, and his mom is like, you're gay and you've lost your Muslim faith. So we want you to spend some time with the the ministers, the head of our churches. They're gonna help you, they're gonna get you straight. And so the man said, oh, okay, mommy. And then he went to his room and he called the US consulate and said, help. And the U.S. consulate said, okay, we got you. And then they say, where you at? And he's like, I'm in this community, which was like a Somali community. They like, we don't go to that community. So they had to arrange a Uber or whatever to get him to the embassy. And it was like, even as he was leaving the building, he was like, at the hotel, he's like, am I going to see my brother? Because if I see my brother, he going to yoke me up. And, I'm not going to be able to get out. So, so I guess what the theory is that he was going to, how they have these things where they, these programs or whatever, where they like, more than praying the gay away, they like beat the gay away. So I guess they were gonna, get with him and be like, you're not gay. You know what I mean? And, which is, speaking of Canada, that's like what they did with like the Indian children. They like, you think you Indian, whenever you speak the language, we gonna beat you. Whenever you show any signs of your cultural affiliation, we gonna beat you. We gonna pray and beat the Indian, the native, whatever your culture is away. But I don't really think you can. I think we are who we are. That's just my theory. But the other thing that was interesting to me about this article is probably within the last 3 months, I saw another article about an organization called, I don't know what it's called, but it's basically like formerly Muslim. And it's for people who are no longer, who don't want to be Muslim anymore, but they have to form an organization in order for them to not be Muslim and to help each other. And so that's how he kind of got some of the help. Like they were part, and I'm like, I guess conceptually I don't understand, because I feel like I grew up in a way in a Christian church. But now I did have a friend who, when I was in college, she came to New York and she got involved with this group, and they would like be like, you weren't in church. And she'd be like, she was telling me this, and I'm like, why are they like on you so much? Like, it seems kind of intense. And like over time, I'm like, I think it's a cult. But so I don't think she could have just left voluntarily, although eventually she did leave. I don't really know the story, but she's like a professor now and all this other stuff. But I just kind of feel like if I want to leave the church, I got to have a special organization to leave the church. So it makes me wonder about, I don't know much about Islam, especially in other parts of the world. And so it makes me wonder, like, and then, his mother felt like, not only are you gay, but you're not Muslim anymore. Or not only are you not Muslim, but you're gay. I think there was like a connection for her. But anyway, and he was an American citizen. So that's why he was able to get help in this, from his perspective. Most people point with their fingers, but cultures across the world point with their noses and lips too. Not very many, but you know how you might. I thought that was funny. Fighting female suicide in a country with a tragic record. And I think that this was someplace in Africa, West Africa. I'm not really sure, because it was yesterday when I looked. The most hated player in Jersey will keep kneeling. I think we did this story yesterday. A woman slammed John Legend. So we looped through everything. That's what we got. That's what we got. Today I am doing Real Housewives of Atlanta, The Quad, and dang, I think I listened to my Be Fabulous You. MNOPQP. What comes after P? I don't know. So maybe I didn't listen. But I got a few more videos coming. Thank you so much for being here. Today is the best day ever. You are the greatest. All of these brown emojis. I don't know what the Q means, but thank you for being here. Love and respect, bro. Love and respect. Thank you all for being here, for being you, and for being fabulous you. Today is the best day ever. So go out and enjoy it. Bye.